Now, year after year, fans of anime and manga always ask the question, why is it that live action adaptations of anime and manga always turn out bad? And of course, y'all already know, everyone points to Dragon Ball Evolution as an abomination. They also point to Avatar: The Last Airbender, even though that's not really anime, but hey, I know Korra was done by Studio Period, so, and maybe Avatar, I don't know, but, you know, that's one of the ones that got slammed as well. And anime and manga fans are always just look at it yo, there's no hope. But based on this article from somebody that worked on the Dragon Ball Evolution movie, I think one of the secrets, and maybe it's not a secret, but to me it's whoa, this is kind of big, as to why these movies are turning this way, was kind of a little bit revealed in this one. At the very least, we could argue for Dragon Ball Evolution. I can't say every single film, but it also makes sense because, well, you know what? Let's talk about it.
Whether Facebook, Twitter, or the two, make sure to steer clear, cause I'm coming through like...
Now, a former Dragon Ball editor recently did an interview, and in it, he was asked, of course, about the legendary Dragon Ball Evolution. And something that he said in there, I'm not gonna lie, really made me, and it kind of confirmed exactly why a good majority of anime and manga live-action movie adaptations turn out the way they turn out. And you know what I'm talking about. You gotta get that... oh god, yeah, that type of shit, because those movies be usually whoa, it's not even a hit and miss. They just missing and falling down and breaking their legs without nothing. You know what I'm saying? Now, one of the things anime and manga fans kind of already know is that these movies, one of the reasons why, or we assume at the very least, why they don't pop and why they're not good, is because the original creators aren't really that heavily involved. Usually, when you're adapting something, the further away you get from source material, the more the message is distorted. This is why there are subtitle purists that they will not watch English dubs or any type of dubs for that matter, because the further away from the source material, the more, I guess, distorted the vision is. So, when you're going to that, in my opinion, when you're creating something, adapting, you absolutely want all of the, or as many as you can, of the original minds behind said material, so that way you can get an idea of what their true vision was. Because I can read something, I can watch something, but that doesn't mean I'm going to interpret all the messages or understand exactly what the creators were trying to say. Let alone the fact of a big title like Dragon Ball, for example, where there's so much stuff to read to really understand and grasp these characters. We grew up with this. You know, we got the episodes all the time, or a lot of people, they just found it in marathoned it. Some of these people, these script writers and stuff like that, they've never even heard of this stuff, so they just check out a volume or two, kind of get an idea, and go off and do whatever. This is why, and I'm going to read why they do these things, and why the Japanese companies in particular don't come in and say, yo, that's trash, until after the fact. I mean, even with Dragon Ball Evolution, Akira Toriyama, at the time, at the very least, he kind of was very polite about it and said, hey, it's a different work at best. But why is it that these creators don't come in and say, this is my movie, give me my shit right now, we're about to change all of this up? But this is kind of a key. So let's read what this Dragon Ball, or former Dragon Ball editor, had to say. Former Dragon Ball editor Kazuhiko Torishima comments on Dragon Ball Evolution. And it's appropriate because a lot of people are like, wait, why are you still talking about that movie? Well, it came out in 2009. We're in 2019. I guess it's the 10-year anniversary for it, so people are going to be talking about it. Kazuhiko Torishima is the representative director of the Hakusensha Publishing Company. Before that, however, he worked at Shueisha and was Akira Toriyama's editor during Dr. Slump and the first half of Dragon Ball. Now, when they say Dragon Ball, I'm imagining the earlier version of it. On April 23rd, he held a lecture at Bunka Gakuen University in Tokyo, where he answered questions from the audience. One of the questions that came up was about the live-action Hollywood film Dragon Ball Evolution, which was released in 2009, again 10 years ago. Torishima was asked, what did you think of Dragon Ball Evolution? Well, I could tell you what he thought of it, but let's carry on. Torishima responded, it was my biggest failure in regards to screen adaptation. He said that after the film's failure, he spoke with lawyers familiar with screen adaptations. Oh my gosh, hold on. It was that bad that the Japanese were speaking with lawyers? Wow. You know that something was not right when they're speaking with lawyers. But again, let's carry on. And came to the conclusion that Shueisha would have had to pay money to have a say in how the material was handled. Hold on. This is mine. and this is where I start looking at it like the legalities is all messed up and shit. This is mine. If I am licensing it to you, why is it that I have no say in what's mine? That's like, you know what I'm saying? Especially with the creators, but in general, even the publishing companies, like Hollywood plays hardball. That's immediately what comes to my mind. But again, let's continue. According to what he heard, the right to veto was a 5 billion yen investment, aka $45 million. Hold on. So for them to say, hey, this movie is garbage, this movie is absolute trash, I hate it, it's terrible, what are you doing? They had to pay $45 million. This movie, soaking wet, ain't worth 45 cents. $45 million, bro. Wow. that's insane. However, Torishima went on, this figure would have been 60 to 70% of Shueisha's yearly profit at the time, so they were not prepared to pay that sum. Yeah, I mean, things have increased in certain aspects when it comes to the anime manga industry. There's bad and there's good. Nowadays, I think they could probably manage that. I mean, look how much money they put into the Dragon Ball films that, you know, the animated versions, you know, the Resurrection F, the Broly film. So if they had a correct live action adaptation, bringing all the Dragon Ball fans looking at it like, okay, this is Dragon Ball, they'd be able to invest safely because, okay, they could test it and stuff like that. But if they had to pay $45 million to even say, hey, Justin Chatwin, get off of the fucking set, what are you doing? Like, whoa. He said, knowing what I know now of Hollywood, I would have said, pay the $5 billion. In exchange, I want the distribution rights in Asia. I'll make sure you get a return on the money. I would have negotiated and gotten the veto rights, he said. So in his mind, that $45 million, especially with a title like Dragon Ball, which it makes sense, is worth it. Especially look what Broly did. And we know live action films like, look the Avengers and stuff like that. We know if done correctly, an adaptation can blow to the moon. Especially Dragon Ball has so many fans and there's still opportunities. I think with 10 years behind us, Evolution, a little bit more, and it's possible for them to once again tackle Dragon Ball Evolution. Now, when we got people like this that are giving the info that, okay, this time around, you know, we know what to do, we'll probably not have the same accidents. I mean, look at the Sonic movie, which I kind of want to talk about that, but look at the Sonic movie. They did that whole thing, which personally, me, I feel as though they knew what they were doing. They put out a bad design to get everyone talking, then promised them to change. Point being is, I think they've learned their mistakes. I think a lot of creators looking at Hollywood adaptations and understanding the mistakes that were made, now we're in a safer zone where Dragon Ball Evolution or Dragon Ball live action adaptation period, maybe we won't have to be like, oh, tell me when it's over. And aside from that, of course, Dragon Ball Evolution came out in April 2009 and holds a 15% score on Rotten Tomatoes. That's generous. Honestly, reading this article, it's amazing. Honestly, when you get a little bit of insight into these industries and stuff like that, like, don't get me wrong, if you're licensing this movie from me, and maybe there's something that I'm missing, maybe it's the fact that they just wanted to cheap out, maybe that's the reason, like maybe they just, you would argue, and I could throw the argument out there as well, that why didn't they believe in Dragon Ball enough to say, okay, let's pay the $45 million, or was that too much? I think, honestly, $45 million to tell you, hey, the story that I wrote, you made it into a terrible movie, let's change it. That's ridiculous. And on top of that, it was 3 years back that one of the, I think he was the director, he came out and apologized. Everybody that was a part of this movie came out and apologized of what a monstrosity of a piece of garbage it was, because, you know, it was a terrible film. But I'm kind of curious what you guys think about this. This, honestly, finding out that, especially for Dragon Ball Evolution, $45 million is what stopped Toriyama being able to come in and say, yo, this is trash. $45 million is what made Dragon Ball Evolution the movie that it is, because at $45 million, and I'm not talking about the investment, because I think they only spent $30 million on the entire film, but with $45 million, which is a ridiculous number, things would have been way different. Maybe we would have had a great film, but sadly, we're 10 years behind. We learned our lessons. Dragon Ball Evolution's failure is what led to the Dragon Ball franchise returning, and we got Super and all of that stuff, so it was, you know, essentially a good thing that things turned out the way they did, and Dragon Ball Evolution was trash. But man, that's an eye-opener as to why the original creators normally, especially when it comes to Hollywood adaptations, get no say-so. Look at Death Note, Netflix. Oh, God, I don't want to look at that shit. And your overall thoughts and expectations. You think that now that we're 10 years behind Dragon Ball Evolution, at some given point, seeing the success of, you know, comic book adaptations coming to the big screen, Spider-Man's and, well, Spider-Man kind of been rocky, but like, you know, Infinity Wars and Endgame, shit like that, Shueisha is really interested in breaking into Hollywood and getting, you know, that Dragon Ball movie, that Naruto movie, and then having some type of Justice League or Avengers type of situation. I would love that. I really hope that we get to that point someday. I hope we learn our lessons in that. Don't get me wrong, a lot of anime fans will agree, just stay away from adaptations, live action, but maybe the reason these movies turn out the way they do is because the original creators can't have no say-so. Change that up, get rid of that, have the original creators on board, all of them, have them really, look at what's being presented, and then go forward, and maybe we'll get something better. But man, $45 million just to say, yo, Dragon Ball Evolution is trash? God, do it for free. But that's all I have for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Please hit the bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links, of course, in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule. Anime and manga for life, boy. Bow. Have an awesome day. Can't forget the music though. Hold on, let me play y'all a little something.
Make sure your next move is your best move. Feeling smarter, I guess less. But always remember, no matter the weather, I was October